Hey everybody, welcome back. This will be the top 70 through 61 of going through my top 100 games of all time. A few things. There is one game on this list I'm very excited to tell you about. You'll see why it's pretty ridiculous. Um, there are three games on this list that work for eight people, which is rare for games, and that definitely like bumps them up in my estimation if you can play it with that many people. And there's only two on this list I don't own. So without further ado, here's a lot of games that I do own. The first one, though, I don't, and it does work for eight people, and that is The Resistance. The Resistance is, in my opinion, like the father of all social deduction games. I guess after Werewolf, or also called Mafia. So if you've played those sorts of games, in The Resistance, you have a team, let's say you have a team of six people. Two of them are spies, the other four are members of the resistance, and the spies are trying to sabotage the resistance as they go on their missions. Um, Fantastic game. I refuse to play it with my wife um, because I'm very good at lying in this game, and I don't lie in my personal life, but I don't want to lie to my wife even in a game. Um, so I don't really play this one with her, but it's a great game if you can get past the whole lying aspect. So yeah, highly recommend it. That is 70, The Resistance. Number 69 is Quacks of Quedlinburg. This is a very nice game in which you are pulling chits from a bag, and you are trying to like get the better ones and not explode. So it's what's called a push your luck game. A lot of randomness to it, but still very fun. Good times playing this game, especially with Claire and Bill. So shout out to them. We also recently got the expansion for them as a wedding gift, and then found out that they already had it. And so now we have the expansion, which is nice, and we owe Claire and Bill a wedding gift. Um, that's Quacks of Quedlinburg, number 69. Yeah, great game and fairly new. This is pretty like popular one from I think 2019. What's it say? 2018. It won the Kenner Spiel in 2018. If you don't know, there are these board game awards. Kenner Spiel is like the gamers game, as it says, connoisseurs game of the year, the 2018. But there's also the Spiel des Jahres, which is just game of the year, which this next one won back in 2001. So, that is number 68, Carcassonne. Carcassonne is kind of the father of tile laying games. You're building out this little landscape, and you're picking tiles out of a bag and putting little guys down to claim points. This is one of those games that I use as a gateway game. Certainly, there are other tile laying games now. I'm not huge into the tile laying games. I think I have one maybe coming up later on in the list, I believe. But yeah, Carcassonne, it's still a great game. I would like to get an expansion or two, but I have the older version, and so it's harder to find the expansions for. Or an older version. I'm sure there are older ones still. But yeah, great game from Klaus Jürgen Freude, and that's Carcassonne. Number 67 is another game I use as a gateway game, and that is Quirkle. Quirkle is also I guess a tile laying game, but it's kind of a lot like Scrabble, but with shapes and colors. You're laying them out on a grid in the middle of the table and scoring points based on where you get them, and trying to get six in a row. In which case you say Quirkle, which is fun as well. This is actually one of the few games, maybe one of the few games that I was introduced to at my in-laws' house. Though I don't think I was playing with them. It was at some gathering over Christmas or something like that, and I was playing with some of my extended family on my wife's side. And so Raul and Teresa own this game, and I didn't for a long time, but then I picked up a copy. So shout out to them. This works really well as an introductory game. I mean, I still play it like all the time with adults certainly, but I would use this with kids as well. Highly recommend because the shapes and the colors, love it. Number 66 can be played with 8 people, which is nice. It says 2 through 8. I would consider that to be more 4 through 8. And that is Sushi Go Party. Sushi Go Party is a drafting game, meaning that you have a hand of cards, you choose one, you pass the rest, and you take a new card from the new hand that's passed to you. Drafting games, great mechanism, really like it. One of the things about drafting games is that they tend to have about the same amount of playtime no matter how many people are playing. So if you play with 4 people, this game's probably going to take you 25 minutes, 30 maybe. If you play with 8 people, it's going to take you 25 or 30 minutes. And that is fantastic. This is also a fairly simple game. There's an earlier version of the game called Sushi Go without the party, which is obviously not as good. It's not as much of a party. Yeah, but I use this game especially with higher player counts. Plays really well with 6, 7, 8. And it has all these cute little pictures of sushi. So that's fun. It usually makes people want to order sushi, which I cannot eat, sadly. But I'll get some tempura or something. Number 65 is the third game in this list that can be played with 8 people, and this is Shadowhunters. Shadowhunters is a great game in which you have a hidden role, so you're either a shadow or a hunter or a neutral. You're trying to accomplish some sort of objective. So that's kind of like the Resistance in some ways, except there are also neutral characters who have their own goal to accomplish, which can be pretty difficult for some of them. I really like that twist to the social deduction thing. The actual gameplay is kind of fun, fairly random, but yeah, I'm a big fan of this game. My wife is not, sadly. Had great times playing this game at the old Board Game Association at Franciscan. And yeah, I hear there's a new reprint coming out. There was a second version called Shadow Raiders. Don't know how good that is, and it was really hard to pick up. But Shadowhunters itself is getting reprinted, although it looks like the art is going to be horrendous, and the art was already pretty bad. So keep that in mind. But big fan if you can find it. Shadowhunters, might have to wait for the new edition. Number 64 is San Juan, which is apparently loose in there. San Juan, I picked this up used at some point, but I played it a lot back in the day when I was living with Ross and Seth and Joe and a couple other guys. We played this game a ton. This is a fantastic game. It's like Puerto Rico, if you know the game Puerto Rico. The art style is similar here, but much faster because you're playing just with cards. There's no board. And the way you pay for cards is with cards. And the resources you produce is cards. So it's just like you're using cards from your hand, you're trying to get more and more points played down in front of you while still maximizing your economy. It is one of those games in which you choose a role, you do an action, and then everybody else gets to do the same action. So there's, I guess, a follow mechanic in it. Big fan of San Juan. I can't remember how many people it plays. 4 at the most, which is a little bit of a shame. I feel like Puerto Rico plays really well with 5, but decently with 4 as well. But this one 4 at the most. And it's, yeah, if you want Puerto Rico but faster, San Juan. Number 63 is the other game on this list I don't own. It's called The Castles of Burgundy. I've only played it maybe twice, maybe once. Got it out of the library at one point, or one of my friends did, can't remember. It's Stefan Feld's masterpiece. It is one of the most highly rated games on Boardgamegeek. I can't remember where it's at right now. But Stefan Feld is a very prolific designer, has a lot of good games, and some just okay games, as all designers do. But Shadowhunters, I'm looking at Shadowhunters. Castles of Burgundy is a dice game in which you're drafting dice and you're putting them out and you're playing on this kind of hexagonal grid. People talk a lot about the look of it not being very beautiful. I think it's fine. Like certainly it's not, gorgeous, but it's a fine look to it. And one I definitely want to pick up. Never owned it. It's been on my Amazon wish list for a long time, so that's number 63, The Castles of Burgundy. Number 62 has possibly the greatest name of any board game I own. That was facetious. The DC Comics deck building game. It tells you right there what it is. What more do you need to know? So my wife hasn't played this with me yet, partially because she thinks the name is terrible, which I agree it is. But this is a very fun kind of light deck building game. It works fine with two, but I think it works better with three or four. Actually plays even five. I don't know if I'd want to play it at five, but maybe. Um, it's certainly there's a lot of randomness in it, more than a lot of deck builders. But it's one of those ones where five cards come out in the middle, and you can buy one. The twist in this one is that there's a supervillain that everyone's trying to defeat. Once you defeat the supervillain, you get their card, and you can start playing them. They're very powerful. Um, but the other twist I really like in this game is that you play as one of the heroes from one of the Justice League heroes, actually one of these seven out here. Um, and you all have your special abilities. So, like if you're Batman, you want to play a lot of equipment. If you're Superman, you want to play a lot of superpowers. If you're Aquaman, you want to talk to fish. I assume I haven't played Aquaman. Um, but yeah, big fan. DC Comics deck building game. Pick this up for $7 at Goodwill. Excuse me, $6 at Goodwill. There's the proof. And yeah, really like it. One of my better thrift finds. That is number 62, DC Comics deck building game. And finally, number 61. So there comes a time in every married man's life when you're packing up your apartment to move to your first house, and your wife stumbles across a box and says, Kyle, what the hell is this? This is HeroScape. HeroScape is a sadly out of print game that will never be reprinted because of the amount of plastic, the sheer amount of plastic that this takes. And now I'm dropping pieces. With a bunch of pre-painted miniatures, which I'll show you in a second. But the terrain is all built like this. Oh, we got some snow. Nice. And you layer it on itself to create like hills and mountains and things like that. There's these little river pieces, very cool. And so it takes a long time to set up. Biggest downside is it takes a long time to set up. But then you are also there is a toothbrush in here, and I don't know why. Been a while since I played this game. Great game though. So you have all this terrain you set up. Like here's a nice little wall you put down. And then you have all of these cool guys that you're playing with. So the theme here is one of those like heroes throughout time. So here's some in space and whatnot. Here's an elf. Here's some sort of serpent dude. Here's a futuristic RoboCop kind of dude. This game is so much fun. It's absurd, and it takes a long time to set up. It takes a while to play as well. And there's, oh my gosh, some of these characters in here. You got this giant dragon who the other wing is down in here somewhere. But look, it's a giant dragon. You get to play with this guy. You get to have him fight the super agent. They're the secret agents. And he moves around on this, but this guy covers 2 spots. He's fantastic. This is an orc riding a dinosaur. Who wouldn't want to play this game? Look at that. He's got like a little halberd there. Yeah, and the minis are painted pretty well. Let me see if there's anything cool here. I'll just hold up a box. So I got a bunch of expansions for this too, though not all the expansions. Oh yeah, like some sort of Wild West dude here. I don't want to pull on him too hard. Might break it. Some sort of Highlander guy. And all these guys have their own stats, special abilities, and you just move around the map, attacking each other. You got Roman archers. The Roman archers can take down a dragon, or a robot. And then look, a bunch of other guys too, including some Valkyries, some monks. Amazing game. I really hate that I haven't played this game in a long time because it's so cool. It just takes so long to set up. And then you gotta teach it, and that's a lot. So this is one of those games, my current board gaming resolution, which I do a new one every year, is to play every game in my collection or else sell it. But I'm allowing myself 5 that I do not, like 5 little grace period things that I don't have to sell if I don't play. And I knew alone that that's probably going to be one of them because getting it to the table is a real hassle. Anyway, now that I've gushed about HeroScape for a while, that was number 61, and we are almost to the top 50, but one more list to go before then. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you around.